There is a certain energy that comes with the beginning of something, a new project, a fresh path, a clean slate. It's a quickening of the pulse, a feeling that anything is possible. It's a hunger, not for food, but for experience, for understanding, for the taste of a future that is not yet real. But time has a way of dulling that edge. The world makes its claims, and the initial spark can fade into the comfortable glow of routine. To stay hungry, then, is not a passive state. It is an active daily rebellion against complacency. It is the conscious decision to protect that initial curiosity, to nurture a mind that is perpetually unsatisfied with the surface of things. It is to wake up each morning and ask, what more is there to learn? What beauty have I not yet perceived? What problem awaits a solution I haven't yet imagined? This hunger is the fuel. It is the relentless engine of becoming. But fuel, left untended, can spill and scatter, producing heat but no forward motion. This is where the second command finds its purpose: stay focused. Focus is the lens. It is the discipline of direction in a world designed to splinter your attention. It is the quiet, often difficult, choice to ignore the symphony of distractions, the pull of the trivial, the allure of the easier path in order to engage deeply with the one thing that truly matters. It is the ability to sit with a single idea, a single sentence, a single brushstroke, for as long as it takes to truly know it. Hunger provides the energy, but focus provides the trajectory. It is what transforms restless potential into enduring power. And yet, even with hunger and focus, the path will become steep. There will be moments of profound doubt, moments when the initial excitement has long since faded, and all that remains is the hard, unglamorous work. This is the territory of the final command: stay unstoppable. We often mistake the initial spark of inspiration for a sustainable fire. We feel a surge of motivation at the start of a new endeavor, a new year, a new job, a new project, and we believe this feeling will power us through to the end. We rely on this external catalyst, this novelty, to fuel our progress, but novelty fades. Inspiration is a fleeting visitor, not a permanent resident. When it departs, as it always does, we are left in the quiet, mundane reality of the work itself, and we interpret this calm not as a new phase, but as a loss of passion. We believe our hunger has died. This is where the profound discipline begins. To stay hungry is to recognize that true, enduring hunger is not a feeling that happens to you. It is a mindset you cultivate. It is an active, daily rebellion against the seductive pull of complacency. Complacency is the quiet voice that whispers, "You know enough. You have done enough. This is comfortable. Stay here." It is the enemy of growth, the anchor that holds the ship in the harbor, safe from the storms, but also from the discovery of new worlds. Staying hungry, therefore, is a conscious choice to remain a student in the university of your own life. It is to wake up each morning and deliberately create a void, an intellectual or creative space that demands to be filled. It is to ask uncomfortable questions. What challenged my beliefs yesterday? What skill lies just beyond the edge of my competence? What book is on my shelf that I am afraid to read because it might dismantle my current understanding? This is not about frantic, aimless consumption. It is about targeted, purposeful seeking. It is about seeing a difficult problem not as a threat to your equilibrium, but as a nourishing meal for your mind, something that will strengthen your cognitive and creative muscles once you have digested it. This practice requires a certain intellectual humility, an acknowledgement that no matter how much you learn, the landscape of the unknown remains infinitely vast. The moment you believe you have arrived is the moment your hunger begins to atrophy. The hungriest people are often the most knowledgeable, because their expanding awareness of a subject only reveals the vast territories they have yet to explore. This hunger is the fuel for the entire journey. It is the why that makes the hard work meaningful. Without it, even the most focused effort lacks soul and direction, becoming mere mechanical execution. It is the relentless, internal engine that propels you forward long after the initial spark of inspiration has faded into memory. It is the decision to never be fully satisfied, not out of ingratitude, but out of a profound reverence for the endless potential of the human spirit to learn, grow, and create. We live in an age of unprecedented distraction. Our attention is not merely sought, it is besieged by a constant barrage of notifications, entertainment, and information, all designed to capture and fragment our focus. In this economy of attention, our most valuable resource is not time, but our capacity for deep, sustained concentration. Hunger provides the raw energy for our ambitions, but without a mechanism to channel it, that energy dissipates into the atmosphere of good intentions. It becomes a diffuse glow that illuminates nothing. This is where the critical discipline of focus enters. To stay focused is to install a lens that concentrates that scattered light into a laser beam, capable of cutting through resistance and illuminating a single, defined path. Focus is, at its core, an act of continuous exclusion. It is the practice of saying no to 1,000 potential paths in order to say yes to one. It requires the creation of mental sanctuaries, blocks of time and space where the peripheral noise is intentionally silent. This is not a passive state of absorption that we fall into when a task is easy. It is an active, often strenuous, effort to command the mind to a single point, especially when it wants to wander toward easier, more immediately gratifying pursuits. It is the cognitive equivalent of holding a muscle under tension. This discipline is what separates the amateur from the master. The amateur works when the mood strikes them. Their effort is variable, contingent on the fickle winds of inspiration. The master, however, understands a fundamental truth. Focus does not follow inspiration, it often cultivates it. By committing to the process of deep work, by showing up at the desk, the bench, the studio at a predetermined time, and directing all cognitive resources toward a single objective, you are not waiting for the muse. You are building a home for the muse, creating the conditions under which breakthrough and inspiration are most likely to occur. Furthermore, focus is the great multiplier of time and talent. An hour of pristine, undiluted focus can yield more tangible progress than a day fractured by contacts, switching, and partial attention. When we multitask, we are not actually doing several things at once. We are rapidly toggling between them, each switch incurring a cognitive tax. As the brain reorients itself, this constant shifting is mentally exhausting and profoundly inefficient. Focus, by contrast, is an economy of energy. It is the deliberate channeling of all available resources toward a singular goal, making the state of flow, where time distorts and productivity soars, not just possible, but probable. Therefore, focus is the necessary bridge between ambition and achievement. It is the how that gives the why of your hunger its tangible form. It is the quiet, unglamorous work of turning the fuel of potential into the fire of tangible results. Without this lens, even the most powerful hunger is wasted, its energy spilling out in a dozen different directions, leaving behind the faint warmth of what could have been, but never the enduring structure of what was actually built. We often misunderstand resilience. We picture it as a kind of emotional armor, a shell that makes us impervious to the blows of disappointment, failure, and criticism. We believe that to be unstoppable is to become so hardened that nothing can touch us, so that we can march forward without feeling the weight of the journey. This is a profound misconception. True resilience is not about becoming invulnerable. It is about developing a profound commitment to the process itself, a commitment so deep that it can absorb the impact of any setback and continue moving forward. To be unstoppable is not the absence of struggle. It is the presence of a stubborn, unbreakable will that is forged in the struggle. This quality is not a trait you are born with. It is not a genetic lottery won by a fortunate few. It is a quality you forge day by day in the daily practice of showing up. It is built in the moments you least feel like it, when you are tired, when you are doubtful, when the initial excitement has long since faded and the finish line is nowhere in sight. It is the decision to write one more page when you are convinced your work is worthless. It is the choice to make one more sales call after a string of rejections. It is the determination to practice one more hour when your body is screaming for you to stop. Each of these acts is a strike of the hammer, tempering the steel of your spirit. Being unstoppable is rooted in a deep, seated, almost irrational belief in your own capacity to endure. It is the quiet voice in your head that, when faced with an obstacle, does not ask, "Can I overcome this?" but instead declares, "I will find a way." This shifts your mindset from one of questioning to one of problem solving. The energy that others spend on deliberating whether to quit is energy you redirect into figuring out how to proceed. The obstacle is no longer a stop sign. It becomes a riddle to be solved, a challenge that your unstoppable spirit is uniquely equipped to meet. This endurance is the final, essential component that locks hunger and focus into a self-sustaining cycle. Hunger provides the fuel, focus directs the energy, but it is this relentless endurance that ensures the engine will run through the night, through the storms, and through the long, arid stretches where progress seems invisible. It is the quality that allows you to outlast your competition, to outlast your own doubts, and to outlast the temporary nature of any single setback. Ultimately, to be unstoppable is to understand that the only true failure is the failure to continue. It is to embrace the struggle as an integral part of the journey, not as an unwelcome interruption. It is to know in your bones that you are more difficult to break than any problem you will ever face. This is not blind arrogance. It is earned confidence, built upon the countless small victories of having chosen to continue when everything within you whispered to stop. It is the power that comes from knowing that your will is the one force in the universe you have absolute control over, and you have chosen to wield it in the direction of your destiny. We often treat personal qualities as standalone virtues. We might work on our curiosity in one season, our discipline in another, and our resilience only when we face a significant setback. This fragmented approach, while well-intentioned, misunderstands the fundamental nature of how these forces operate. Hunger, focus, and an unstoppable spirit are not isolated ingredients to be added separately to the recipe for success. They form a dynamic, interdependent cycle, a self-reinforcing ecosystem where each element nourishes and sustains the others in a continuous process of creation and growth. To understand this, imagine the process as a powerful, self-sustaining engine. Hunger is the combustion chamber, the place where fuel and air mix to create the potential for explosive energy. It is the why, the vision and curiosity that generate the initial heat and pressure. A powerful hunger creates a vacuum that demands to be filled with action. It is the source of motivation, the compelling force that makes the hard work feel meaningful rather than mundane. Without this combustion, there is no spark, no ignition. The engine remains cold and inert. A life without hunger may be busy, but it lacks the explosive power of purpose. But a combustion chamber is useless without a mechanism to harness its energy. This is where focus functions as the engine's pistons and crankshaft. These are the components that translate the raw, explosive power of combustion into directed rotational force, into forward motion. The work is the how. It is the disciplined, repetitive, physical process of taking that energy and applying it to a specific task. The pistons fire again and again, converting potential into kinetic energy. Without this mechanical translation, the dream's explosion is just a loud, hot, and ultimately useless event. It produces sound and fury, but no progress. The hunger provides the power, but the focus provides the traction. Even the most perfectly designed engine, however, will seize and fail if it cannot manage the intense heat and friction generated by its own operation. This is the critical role of an unstoppable spirit, the cooling and lubrication system. As the engine runs, components heat up and grind against one another. Setbacks, failures, and monotony are the friction and heat of the human endeavor. An unstoppable spirit is the oil that reduces the wear and the coolant that regulates the temperature. It is the quality that allows the system to run for the long haul without breaking down. It ensures that a single overheated component, a rejected proposal, a failed experiment, a period of doubt, doesn't cause the entire engine to seize. It is the resilience that allows the whole system to endure the stress of its own ambitious operation. The genius of this trinity, however, lies in its feedback loops. This is not a one-way, linear process. The act of working with fierce focus and persevering through difficulty does not just lead you toward your goal, it actively refines and improves your hunger. As you turn the crankshaft, you gain a deeper, more practical understanding of what is possible. Your hunger evolves from a vague fantasy into a detailed, achievable blueprint. It becomes more intelligent, more grounded, and more powerful. The well-lubricated, well-cooled engine actually runs more efficiently, creating a cleaner, more powerful combustion for the next cycle. Therefore, to isolate any one element is to misunderstand the entire system. A dream without focus is delusion. Focus without endurance is a temporary flare. But when they operate together, when the combustion, the mechanics, and the cooling work in perfect harmony, they create a virtuous cycle of limitless potential. You are no longer just pushing toward a goal. You are operating a perpetual motion machine of growth, where each part strengthens the others, propelling you forward with an efficiency and power that a fragmented approach could never hope to achieve. We often fall into the trap of believing that the ultimate goal of our ambition is a specific, tangible outcome, the finished novel, the successful business, the mastered skill. We envision a finish line, a moment of arrival where we can finally rest and declare, "I have made it." This destination-oriented mindset, while motivating, carries a hidden danger. It can lead us to see the journey itself, with all its struggles, doubts, and daily disciplines, as a mere means to an end, a difficult corridor we must pass through to reach the prized room on the other side. This perspective fundamentally misunderstands where true value is found. The most profound reward is not the trophy you hold at the end of the race, but the strength, resilience, and wisdom you integrate with every step you take. A life defined by hunger, focus, and an unstoppable spirit is not merely a strategy for achieving success. It is a recipe for a life of purpose, passion, and profound, unshakable strength. The process itself becomes the prize. When you live with hunger, you infuse your days with a sense of vitality and exploration. Life ceases to be a problem to be solved and becomes a mystery to be engaged with. You find wonder in the mundane and see lessons in your failures. This passionate engagement is its own reward, generating an energy and optimism that makes life feel rich and endlessly interesting, regardless of external achievements. When you live with focus, you cultivate a life of depth in a world designed for distraction. You reclaim your most precious resource, your attention, and invest it in what truly matters. This practice creates moments of flow, those rare states of complete absorption where time falls away and you are fully present in the act of creation or problem solving. These states are not just productive, they are intrinsically satisfying and are among the most fulfilling experiences a human can have. When you live with an unstoppable spirit, you build a foundation of inner strength that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Your sense of self-worth is no longer tied to your latest success or failure. You develop an earned confidence born from the evidence of your own perseverance. This resilience provides a profound sense of peace and emotional freedom, allowing you to navigate the inevitable ups and downs of life with grace and stability, knowing that you have the capacity to withstand them. Together, these three principles create a life that is not dependent on a single outcome. The purpose is found in the perpetual growth. The passion is found in the dedicated engagement. The strength is forged in the continuous overcoming. This is the ultimate promise, that by committing to the cycle of becoming, you build a life that is resilient, meaningful, and vibrant from the inside out. The external achievements may come and go, but the character you build, the curious, disciplined, and resilient human being you become, is a permanent possession. This is the true triumph, not a life that looks successful from the outside, but a life that feels profound and unshakably strong from within.